In today's video, what I want to talk about is some practical and highly useful English idioms that you need to know and also learn how to use to be able to speak better or at a more advanced level. Are you ready to get started? Of course you are, so let's do it. The first English idiom of today's video is to make a mess of something. To make a mess of something. Once again, to make a mess of something. But what does it mean when we say someone is making a mess of something or you've made a mess of something? Well, to make a mess of something means to do something badly, incorrectly, or terribly. To do something at a very poor quality or to do something that is not correct. So when you make a mess of something, you do something incorrectly, poorly, or terribly. An example of this phrase: he really made a mess of his presentation by forgetting his notes. He really made a mess of his presentation by forgetting his notes, which means he did his presentation poorly, terribly, and badly or incorrectly. How? By forgetting his notes. So he made a mess of his presentation by forgetting his notes. Have you ever made a mess of something? Usually people make a mess of things when they just start working somewhere as a new employee. What about you? Have you ever made a mess of doing something in your workplace as a new employee or as someone who's just started their job? I want you to comment the answer down below and tell me about an occasion in which you made a mess of something as a result of lacking experience or knowledge. Now we proceed to the second English idiom of today's video that if you know, you can speak English much better at a more advanced level, which is something doesn't bear thinking about. Something doesn't bear thinking about. Once again, something does not bear thinking about. When we say something doesn't bear thinking about, it means something is so annoying, unpleasant, so inappropriate, something is so bad that someone does not even want to think about it. Someone does not even want to consider it. Once again, when something doesn't bear thinking about, it is so annoying, upsetting, unpleasant, or bad that someone does not even want to consider it. Someone does not even want to think about it. An example of this phrase: the idea of losing her children in the accident doesn't bear thinking about. The idea of losing your children in the accident doesn't bear thinking about, which means the idea of losing your children in the accident is not what she really wants to think about, or is the last thing that she wants to think about, or she does not even want to think about it because it is so annoying and upsetting that she does not even want to consider it. She does not even want to imagine it or think about it. So something doesn't bear thinking about. Is there anything that you believe does not bear thinking about? What is it? And why do you think it doesn't bear thinking about? Comment the answers down below and explain why you believe it is what doesn't bear thinking about. Now we move to the third English idiom of today's video that if you know, your English is wonderful, awesome, and you can speak English at a more advanced level, which is there is money to be made in something. There is money to be made in something. Once again, there is money to be made in something. When we say there is money to be made in something, it means something is profitable. An activity is profitable or is lucrative. By doing something, by doing an activity, you can make a lot of money. So when we say there's money to be made in something, it means a business is profitable or an activity is profitable or successful financially, or if you do something, you can make a lot of money out of it. So there is money to be made in something. You can use this idiom the next time you're talking to your friends or your colleagues to whom you want to say, hey, I believe something is profitable. I believe you can make a lot of money by doing something. Instead of saying you can make a lot of money by doing something or something is profitable, you can simply say, hey, there's money to be made in something, and make your sentence look more advanced, right? So instead of saying, hey, I believe something is profitable or you can make a lot of money by doing something, you can look more advanced by saying there is money to be made in something. An example of this phrase: there is money to be made in online education, especially with the rise of remote learning. Once again, there is money to be made in online education, especially with the rise of remote learning, which means you can make a lot of money by teaching online, or there is a lot of money that you can make by teaching online. It's a profitable business. It's pretty lucrative. It pays you well if you do it. So There is money to be made in online education, especially with the rise of remote learning. Now we get to the fourth English idiom of today's video, that if you know your English is advanced, or you can claim that your English is advanced and you can speak English as natives do, or you have a strong command of English vocabulary or idioms, which is to paint a rosy picture of something. To paint a rosy picture of something. Once again, to paint a rosy picture of something. But what does it mean when we say someone is painting a rosy picture of something? Well, to paint a rosy picture of something means to describe something in an extremely optimistic way, or to describe something in a way that, it has no problems, or to describe something in an excessively optimistic and idealistic way, often ignoring the problems or the disadvantages of it. So when you paint a rosy picture of something, you focus someone's attention only on the positives of something, the positive aspects of something, the bright side of something, and you do your best to hide its negatives, its, disadvantages or problems. So that's the meaning of to paint a rosy picture of something. An example of this phrase: the manager painted a rosy picture of the company's future, even though the profits were down. The manager painted a rosy picture of the company's future, even though the profits were down, which means the manager described the company in an excessively optimistic and idealistic way. By ignoring the existing problems, the manager focused everyone's attention only on the positive aspects of the company, the advantages of what the company is doing, by hiding the disadvantages or ignoring the downsides or the problems. Now we get to the fifth English idiom of today's video, that if you know, you can claim that you can speak English at an advanced level, which is to live within your means. To live within your means. Once again, to live within your means. But what does it mean when we say someone is living within their means? Well, to live within your means means to manage your finances, usually by spending less than the amount of money that you earn, to be able to manage your life without getting into debt, without running into debt, without amassing debt, without being indebted to anyone or having debts to anyone. Once again, when you live within your means, you try to spend as much money as you earn, or you try to spend less money than the amount that you earn, to be able to manage your finances, or to be able to save money and not get into debt, or amass debts or borrow money from others, to be able to manage your life or your finances. An example of this phrase: if you want to save money, you need to live within your means and avoid unnecessary expenses. If you want to save more money, you need to live within your means and avoid unnecessary expenses, which means if you want to save more money, you need to live within your means. You need to spend less money than you earn and manage your finances. Spend less money, save more, and try to look for things at lower prices. Try to find bargains, or try to buy things when there are significant discounts on them, or to spend less money in order not to get into debt or avoid amassing debts. So if you really want to save more money, you need to live within your means and avoid unnecessary expenses. Now we get to the final phrase of today's video that you need to know to be able to speak English at an advanced level, which is to stand the test of time. To stand the test of time. Once again, to stand the test of time. But what does it mean when we say something stands the test of time? To stand the test of time means to remain high quality, reliable, durable, and strong, especially after a long period of time. When we say a product stands the test of time, it means that product stays reliable, high quality, strong, and without any damage or without any failures or problems after a long period of time, or as time passes, as time goes by. So to stand the test of time means to stay reliable, high quality, or to stay strong after a period of time, or as time goes on. An example of this phrase: Shakespeare's plays have really stood the test of time and are still relevant today. Shakespeare's plays have really stood the test of time and are still relevant today. Once again, Shakespeare's plays have really stood the test of time and are still relevant today, which means Shakespeare's plays have still stayed reliable, durable, strong, in other words, popular, and are still relevant today, and are still what people like to use, what people like to read. And that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching today's video to the end. Let's review these highly practical English phrases once again together. To make a mess of something. To make a mess of something. Something doesn't bear thinking about. Something doesn't bear thinking about. There is money to be made in something. There is money to be made in something. Paint a rosy picture of something. Paint a rosy picture of something. Live within your means. Live within your means. Stand the test of time. Stand the test of time. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you like it in support of this channel and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back soon with another video.